This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Donald Trump, for the longest time, and it continues, but he's always said he's going to surround himself with the best people. I'm really rich, he said, so he could afford the best lawyers, the best contractors, the best political consultants, the best Secretary of State, the best national security advisor who ended up, being convicted, pleading guilty. It's always the best with Donald Trump. And relative to his lawyers that I mentioned, it seems that maybe that's not the case, that in two instances in one day about one particular case, Donald Trump's lawyers are just throwing him under the bus. With reckless abandon, they are telling on themselves. They are admitting two charges that are contained in this most recent indictment. One of those charges is that Donald Trump entered into a conspiracy knowing that he lost the election, that he entered into a conspiracy to overturn that election, to overthrow the government, for one. And it hinges on him knowing that he lost and still pursuing illegal means, anti or extra constitutional means, extra anti-democratic means to stay in office. That he knew and he did it anyway. And Alina Habba, who apparently is his TV lawyer, not necessarily his courtroom lawyer, she was out there in the street talking to reporters outside the courthouse yesterday, right here in D.C., just blocks away from where I sit right now. And she all but admitted that, yeah, he did know. He was told that he lost the election. It is a remarkable event when the lawyer representing you admits to the charges that have been brought against you. Watch Alina Habba.
There's testimony and there's a number of aides that have said that the president was made aware that he lost the election and yet continued to argue that it was stolen from him. How do you reconcile those two things?
Well, I think that everybody was made aware that he lost the election, but that doesn't mean that that was the only advice he was given. As anybody understands what happens in the Oval Office, there are a numerous amount of advisors and politicians and lawyers, not just one or two, that are giving you advice and telling you what they believe is true. So he may not agree with Mike Pence. He may not agree with one of his lawyers, but that doesn't mean that there weren't other people advising him exactly the opposite. And the president has a right, as every one of us do, to listen to several opinions and make their decision.
I think that everybody was made aware that he lost the election. Everybody was made aware that he lost the election, including Donald Trump. And then to assert that, well, there's lots of advisors, when 99.999999% of all people who are advisors or in an advisory role are saying you lost. You can't do what you're doing, but you take the advice of John Eastman, you're not extricated from your troubles. This is the admittance of guilt. Further, on page 42 of this 45-page indictment, paragraph 122, this is another charge. At 11:44 p.m., co-conspirator number 2 emailed the vice president's counsel advocating that the vice president violate the law and seek further delay of the certification. Co-conspirator number 2 wrote, I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation of the ECA and adjourn for 10 days to allow the legislatures to finish their investigations as well as to follow a full forensic audit of the massive amount of illegal activity that has occurred here. This is in the indictment. This is right here. This is one of the allegations made by the United States government against ex-President Donald Trump. And what did Donald Trump's lawyer, his courtroom lawyer, do? John Lara, what did he do? Well, he went on the news. He went on conservative media, and all but admitted that is what took place. Watch this.
Ultimately, what President Trump said is, let's go with option D. Let's just halt. Let's just pause the voting and allow the state legislatures to take one last look and make a determination as to whether or not the elections were handled fairly. That's constitutional law. That's not an issue of criminal activity.
That's what's being alleged. John Lauro, that is what's being alleged. That you're admitting freely and happily. Who are these lawyers? Has Donald Trump reached the point where he's at the bottom of the barrel? There's nowhere to go but down. He's reached rock bottom as far as the talent pool, the genetic pool of lawyer attorney talent is. I don't get it. Especially for the fact that Mike Pence, the man who was in these conversations, this lawyer was not, Mike Pence directly refutes the claim of this lawyer and Donald Trump and John Eastman and Jeffrey Clark about what exactly took place in these conversations, of which he was a part. He was in the conversation. It's not hearsay. He's not being told about a conversation that took place. He was being talked to. He was the one being pressured. Watch Mike Pence refuting this very thing.
On this point, it wasn't just that they asked for a pause. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes, which would have resulted in the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives, and literally chaos would have ensued.
And not only that, not only what Mike Pence just asserted, we all have heard the call, and I'm not going to play it here, but we've all heard the call of Donald Trump on with the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, where he said, all I need you to find me 11,780 votes, which is one more than we need. Just find those for me. Look, I know it's an unwinnable condition. It's an unwinnable position to be in, certainly an unenviable one for it to be a Trump lawyer, to defend the indefensible. But you got to be able to find somebody who can do a better job than to admit the guilt of their client on national, strike that, international television. No? Boo. What do you think? What is in store for Donald Trump? Where do you predict this is going to go? What do you think is going on with these goofs? You can leave a comment below. We can have a conversation there. Or you can call and leave me a brief voicemail. Please make it brief. 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. If I am your flavor of political commentator, please consider supporting my work. You can click the join button below, and for $2 a month, you can help support what we're doing right here to grow this operation. I would appreciate it. You can also click the super thanks button, give immediate amount of support, or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I love you guys. I appreciate you very much. Follow me on social media. I am at Dollemore just about everywhere. And I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.